Hello, it's John Hearn. We're going to look at stacking conversions. So remember that when we're converting from one unit to another, we are doing the mathematical equivalent of multiplying by 1. So you can stack as many conversions as you want onto a conversion. So if you want to go from, for example, let's just take a simple example. Let's just say we want to go from 5.3 meters, and I want to convert this to feet. Okay, so I want to convert meters to feet. Now we can look up the conversion factor for meters to feet, but if you did this, you wanted to know all the conversion factors, there would be a lot. So instead, we typically learn a select number of conversion factors, and we remember how to go from one to the other. So, for example, I know that the connection between the metric system and the standard system is 2.54 centimeters is an inch. So if I go from meters to centimeters, and then centimeters to inches, and then inches to feet, I can go from meters to feet. So kind of mapping out the conversions so that I can get from where I am to where I want to be through a path that I know. So the way that we do this is we can set this up as 3 distinct conversions, or we can just put them all together, because remember, each one of these conversions is the mathematical equivalent of multiplying by 1. So I'll start with 5.3 meters. And then I'm going to draw a big horizontal line. So in this first little box here, I want to go from meters to centimeters. So let me put meters here and centimeters here. And I know that 1 centimeter is 1 e minus 2 meters. And then I'm going to draw a vertical line. So this separates the conversion factors. So now I want to go from centimeters to inches. So I put centimeters down here, inches up here. And I'm going to have 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. And then I'm going to draw another vertical line. And then I want to go from inches to feet. So I'm going to put inches down here, feet in the numerator. 1 foot is 12 inches. Now before we do anything with our calculator, we want to check and make sure that all the conversions work to give us what we want. So I have meters in the numerator, I have meters in the denominator, those cancel. I have centimeters in the numerator, I have centimeters in the denominator, those cancel. I have inches in the numerator, I have inches in the denominator, those cancel. And I'm left with feet, which is what the problem statement asks for. At this point, we're ready to punch everything into our calculator. So I'm going to grab my calculator. And we're going to put in 5.3 divided by 1e minus 2. All right, remember, use this minus sign for the sign. Don't use the subtraction button. And then I'm going to divide that by 2.54. And then I'm going to divide that by 12. Notice that I'm just typing in divide by, right? Because my calculator is going to do each of these in order. So I hit enter, and then I get the answer, which is 17.388. Since I have 2 sig figs, I'm going to put 17 feet. I'm going to report to 2 sig figs. Okay, so we can stack conversions like this if we need to go from one place to the other. We can also stack conversions when we are converting from a like an area to another area. So, for example, let's say that you have 120 feet squared, and you want to convert that to meters squared. Okay, so I want to go from 120 feet squared to meters squared. Well, this is sort of the reverse of this, right? Except they are squared, right? So here I went from meters to feet. I could go from feet to meters. But remember, when I have a squared unit, this thing tells me there are actually 2 feet that I have to take care of. So I'm going to write my conversion this way. Okay, so I need to go from feet to inches, because I need to just go in reverse. So I'm going to put feet here and inches in the numerator. And I know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Now here I only have converted one of the feet. So in order to convert both of them, I have to square the whole conversion factor. Okay? Notice I'm not just squaring the units, I'm squaring the unit and the number. And on that note, this feet squared, that square only applies to the unit. If you look, notice the parentheses. This is telling me I have 12 inches, and that whole 12 inches is squared. Here, this is telling me I have 120 feet, and only the feet is squared. So I'm not going to square this number right here, 120. I'm squaring the 12 inches because there are 12 inches in 1 foot, but I need to square that. All right, and then I can go from inches to centimeters. And I know there's 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. Again, I have to square the whole conversion factor, okay? Because I got to do it twice. I have to do 1 inch, and I got to do the next inch, right? I have 2 inches here that I have to convert both of them to centimeters. And lastly, I'm going to take the inches, I'm going to take centimeters and go to meters. So I'm going to say there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter, and I will square those. Notice I wrote this one a little different because it doesn't matter. I can write 1/100th of a meter as a centimeter, or I can write there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. But down here, I am squaring the whole thing because there are 2 centimeters. Both of them need to be converted to meters. Okay, before I punch anything into my calculator, I want to check and make sure that my units cancel. So my feet squared cancel here, my inches squared cancel, my centimeters squared cancel, and I'm left with meters squared. So how do we punch this into our calculator? Well, let's turn it on. We're going to start with 120. We're going to multiply it by 12, and then I'm going to push this little button right here, x squared. That's going to square the 12. You might remember that 12 squared is 144, so you can do that as well. And then I'm going to multiply that by 2.54 squared. And then I'm going to divide that by 100 squared. And then I'm going to hit enter. And that gives me 11.14, but I only have 2 sig figs, so I'll just leave it as at 11 meters squared. Okay, so we can stack conversions, and we can also square our conversions when our units are squared. If you have cubed units, you would cube your conversions.